What is up, Ham Radio? Kilo Echo 8, Papa Zulu November, the Ham Radio Adventure Guy. Thanks for stopping by. Your one stop for everything Adventure Radio. Going back to some old school stuff tonight. We're going to do an episode of the Knights of the Pota Roundtable, but I'm going to do it a little differently tonight. So tonight we're going to induct Alpha Delta 2 Charlie Delta, and she has no idea that she's getting inducted. Matter of fact, when I'm going to do the interview that you're going to see here in just a minute, the whole interview, she's not even going to be told. She's just finding out right now with you guys while she's watching this video that she's been inducted. So we're actually going to, Toby's known as the Huntress Queen. You know, Toby has more hunted activators than anything in the world. But I'm going to interview her about her club this weekend did their first, well, I don't know if it was a club's first activation, but it was the first one that Toby's actually done. And Toby got to actually do some activating this weekend. And that's what we're going to interview Toby about in this video. But she don't realize it, that she's joining some very illustrious people. And I'll tell you about that at the very end. But all right, let's do this interview. All right, guys, I'm here with Alpha Delta 2, Charlie Delta. Everybody who activates knows that call very well because she's known as the Huntress Queen, and she's hunted every one of us activators out there, and, you know, just an amazing, amazing hunter. But we're not going to talk about that today. So yesterday, Toby was on the other side of the spectrum. Toby's club went out and did an activation, and well, it's supposed to be between 4 and 5. A little bit of time swap mess up there, but Toby got to do her first activation, and that's what we're going to talk about. So, Toby, I know you've been in some really, really big pileups before on the other end of the spectrum. How did it feel to be on the spectrum where you were taking the calls?
Well, I enjoyed myself. It was a lot of fun. We had other club members there. So they were also participating and activating for their first time. So we all were able to get enough calls to activate. So yeah, I enjoyed the pileup. I was able to pick calls out, call signs out. And so that was my biggest fear, I would say, is to be able to hear a call sign or partials. And it worked out okay. So we had each of us had a club member help log at the same time, and so that helped a bit, so I could try to keep moving along and try to catch as many people as I could. I didn't want to leave anybody behind. We know how that feels as a hunter, so I just kept going as fast as I could, and they were logging as fast as they could, and I think I did all right. I think I did all right.
Absolutely. You know, I actually got the pleasure of See, Toby's a really loyal hunter to me, and she will rearrange life events to hunt me sometimes. And yesterday was a really busy day for me. I had one grandson had a birthday party, and another grandson had a football game. But I scheduled it just perfectly right to where I was at really close to two different parks. So I was about 10 minutes apart for those two different parks. So what I did is I set up my activation, and my first activation, all I did was set, and I did park to parks with people, and I had my 12 in before Toby even was ready to kick in, and Toby was at a twofer. So I was sitting there waiting, and I had the honor of being Toby's first ever contact while she activated, as well as her first park to park. But then I got to leave right then and go to another park and work Toby again from another park. So it was quite good for me. I really enjoyed doing that. So did you ever get frustrated during your pile? I don't know how big a pile up you got at once, but
nope, I didn't get frustrated. I felt like I was listening enough to all the activators that I've hunted enough that so I went to my activation school by listening to all of you and tried to really work at that while I was home before I went there. And I was nervous for one about the band conditions, because you know how they could be, and then again listening and be able to pick out the different call signs. So it worked. And thank goodness I was the flow went well because I was able to pick out a call sign or a partial and work that person and then get to the next person and a partial. And that's what helped a lot. Just not getting too overwhelmed by anything and just pick out what I heard. I moved to the next, pick out what I heard. And I was really nice, James, for you to go to 2 different parks. One for you to be the first one and a park to park, and then nice surprise to have a second park. So that worked out really nice. Sometimes I was messing up my flow to remember. I had to remember Whiskey 2 Zulu Quebec versus my call sign, because that could have been a disaster.
that is hard for anybody. I don't care, even the most experienced activator, because we all know that I've activated, plenty of times. But when I go out and I work the club call, it gets really, really frustrating at times, because I'm like, no, I can't say that. I got to say the club call. And
no, they put up a great antenna. They called it a loop antenna, but it looks like a delta loop, I guess, is what they explain. It's hard to see it because it's wires up in the trees. Right. And but it worked really well. The signal was great. The weather was perfect. Really hardly any breeze, and just perfect weather, I could say, for activating in a park. So everything just kind of came in alignment and worked nicely.
Yeah, yesterday was a really nice day to activate. I did have a lot of things I ended up having to do, so I didn't activate as many as I wanted yesterday, but I got several in, and I had a really good time. Now, last night, my late shift activation, the very last one, the band conditions were just horrible. I mean, I'm not talking about one band. I'm talking 40 was bad, 60 was bad, 80 was bad. And I got plenty of contacts, but it was painful.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you didn't have to deal with that. So
I was really glad that 40 meters worked, because we obviously knew a lot of people were going to try to come in on 40. So, but I do have to mention something. They were flipping around and helping everybody try to get, when the 40 was starting to go dead. They did go to other bands, which was helpful. And I, helped other people who haven't tried this before try to get in a flow.
Right.
Which helped. And then what I heard somebody calling when they were going to 20 meters, and I knew who it was, but they didn't know. I guess they didn't know I was activating. So it was Kilo Golf 9 Juliet Papa. And I heard him loud and clear. I said, do you mind if I take this person? And I called him. I said, park to park, park to park. He finally heard me. And I said, park to park. Casey, do you know who this is? I don't know if you've ever had him hunt you, but he was shocked to find out I was on the other end. So that was a lot of fun.
That's great. That's all. So I feel like you had a little bit of an advantage over a new activator, because a lot of people, when they start activating, they haven't been hunting, very long. Like myself, for example, I hunted for about a month, maybe a month, and when I started activating, and I feel like you had an advantage because you've sat in these pileups for so long now, and you know the call signs already. You know people's voices just like I do, and because you're one that'll sit around, and if there's not other parks for you to be hunting, you'll sit around and listen in the pileup and listen to people. And right. I feel like that really helped you a lot with that. What do you think?
Absolutely. For instance, we know November 4, Charlie Whiskey Bravo is very loud when he comes in. Well, he wasn't as loud coming in, but I said, Craig, I think that's you, November 4, Charlie Whiskey Bravo. And it was him. So yes, absolutely an advantage, knowing a lot of the different call signs or partials. And it worked out well, because they were listening for me and I was listening for them. So absolutely.
Yeah, I actually heard you work, Craig. I don't know if it was where I was finishing the log at the first park before I left, or if I was at the second park and just worked and was getting ready to set up for mine at the second park. But I heard you work him, and he was really light for Craig.
Oh, okay, interesting.
But he was park to park.
Yep.
Craig's signal's not as he's not that low. He was low, but his signal's not as strong when he's out in the field. Whereas me, I'm stronger in the field than I am at home.
Okay.
So Craig has a better home setup, and well, I mean, I have a better field setup because that's what I do. It's rare that most of my homework is done, during my Patreon chats and stuff like that.
Right.
I was able to actually work Kyle Friday. I've had a very long weekend.
Yes.
Friday morning, Kyle was on his way down to get to me to activate, and he activated Hawk's Nest here in West Virginia, and that's a park that I needed to hunt because I'm the first person to have activated all of West Virginia, and I want to hunt all of West Virginia, so I needed that one, and I was lucky to get him here from the house, but I don't do a lot of hunting from the house.
Okay. Yeah, I think I got him. So I said, oh, I think he's on the way to see James because he said he was in West Virginia. So
absolutely. We had a really good time. And I'm going to talk about that tonight on Club or Campfire and stuff like that. The good time I had this weekend. But I really wanted to touch base with you. So is there any plans in the future for just a Alpha Delta 2 Charlie Delta activation?
Not in the near future. I'm a hunter at heart, so that's going to be my thing. But I will definitely be happy to, get involved, activate with somebody else or the club again when they do it, because it was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of fun for the other people who haven't done Pota in the club. Absolutely. To get their feet wet, and tried to help them a little bit with the flow. Wrote it down a little bit for them, so. It was interesting for them. So everybody got, and I also brought my handhelds. So before I even got on the air, I was fully activated.
There you go. There you go.
2 meters, 70 centimeter, everybody that was there. And even Alpha Delta 2 Charlie Echo is in the log.
Oh, nice. Nice.
On 2 meters, 70 centimeters. So
that is really cool. Alpha Delta 2 Charlie Echo, huh? Yeah, see, I've got a couple of people that are really close to my call sign as well. They tested the same night as I did, but none of them went on and got their general and stuff. So I don't think. I'm pretty sure they haven't, and if they do, they're not in my log. So.
Yeah, but I was glad to bring the handhelds because there were some people that were not going to participate in the actual activating part. So, but they were club members sitting there, so they were able to get in the log anyway. So
I've had that at club activations. Some of us will activate and stuff like that, and the other guys just sit there and socialize and just hang out and stuff, and that's fine.
Yeah,
it's always good. I feel like I've tried to move my club to doing more. Out of the meeting stuff because it brings more interest in and stuff like that. So it's good for, even if it's not something that you as a member want to do, come out and hang out with the club guys. So it's really good.
I do want to give a shout out to Kilo Bravo 3, Bravo, Bob from our club who set this all up. He actually was the member who he actually tested the 40-meter loop that he put up there. And a couple of the guys were helping put that loop up when I showed up. But because he tested that out a few weeks beforehand and make sure it worked. And it worked really well. In fact, we got several people from Ontario, including Victor Echo 3, Lima Bravo, India. And I got Pat as well from
right.
Yep.
Right. So it's quite funny. It's quite funny because I know for a fact that I was fixing a log, getting ready to go from the first park to the second park. When you worked Larry, and because I heard this, and it was funny because you worked him, and one of the other club guys said, "Was that Ontario?" And he was like, "Yeah, Ontario." And you still had the mic down.
Oh.
and I heard it, and I started cracking up. I was like, "That's great."
That's funny. Yeah, we did pretty good. And when they went to like 15 meters and 70 and 17 meters, I think they got Italy as well. So nice. I'm telling you, that antenna worked really well, the setup.
Well, I'm like I told you when I asked you this, I'm not going to take this long. I just wanted to see how it went for you, and I think the whole world wants to see because how many of the people that actually hunted you were activators and not just hunters? That's my curiosity.
Well, I guess we'll have to go and look at the sheet. I didn't keep everything, but I'm sure I had over 100 contacts within that hour.
Very nice.
So that to me is pretty darn good.
That's 100 contacts in an hour is very, very good. That's awesome rate for sure. Because I mean that's a lot of people. I'll be honest with you. Kyle was not used to running my pileup rate. He was so amazed at my pileup rate.
Oh, really?
And yeah, he really talked about it, and he was like, "Man, I don't even know how you do it."
Yeah, so like the first person was before me. He was going on, and I wanted to make sure. So that he says, "Do you want me to stop?" I said, "You stop when you're activated. I'm not going in here until you're surely activated." So he was good, and then that's how I jumped in, and then. The next person who was logging goes, "Can I come in?" I said, "Well, when you're ready, but I'll keep going. So if you want to come in, but I'll keep going." It was kind of like the shuffle, because I didn't want to take it away from anybody. But on the other hand, I didn't want to leave any hunter hanging if I didn't have to.
Absolutely.
So everybody did get a good chance.
I know there was a lot of people. A matter of fact, after I got you and I was shutting down, I looked in Discord, and James N6RD had messaged me, "Where's Toby at?" And I messaged him real quick, and
I got him.
Did you end up getting Cobain, Kilo 4 Lima Tango Charlie? Because
I don't know.
Because I heard him calling for you several times.
I'd have to go look in the log.
Yeah,
because I was moving really fast, so I don't remember who else, everybody I got. So
absolutely. Well, congratulations on your first activation. And congratulations on what you're going to find out when you actually watch this video go live.
Okay.
And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Oh, okay.
All right, guys. You'll see a wrap up after this when you watch the video live, but Toby won't see that right now. So thanks for watching, and 73.
7-3.
All right. So there was the interview about Toby's activation, and she's already figured it out by now because she watched the intro. But Toby is joining Carrie, KB3 Wave, and her husband Ray, and Bill Brown, and Bruce, India Charlie Papa, Mr. Insane Clown Posse, in the Knights of the Round Table. So congratulations, Toby, on being the second hunter to enter the Knights of the Round Table and enter in such an illustrious group. These guys are people that just are amazing Pota people, and they work hard at what they do in Pota. So they all deserve their spot at the round table. If you like this video from Ham Radio Adventure Guy, click up here in the corner and watch another one. And while you're at it, click down here in the corner and subscribe. Make sure and follow us on all social media sites. And as always, thanks for sharing my adventure with me.